Okay, so I grew up in a Christian home, pretty stereotypical. My dad was a youth pastor and had started the process to lead a church. Um, so we checked all the boxes. We were a big Southern family who had moved down from Virginia to help run a Christian camp. Where was I? When I was about 5, we were reading the Bible one morning, and my parents said something about hell. That was absolutely terrifying to me, so I decided to run the opposite way towards God. From that age on, my faith was based on fear and solely focused on how not to go to hell. Then a few years later, my dad actually walked away from our family. He got up and left one morning telling us he was going on a business trip. But we found out later that he and my mom's best friend had been having an affair for a while at that point. He left a single mom and 5 kids, or 6 kids, whoa, sorry. And 6 kids, 5 of which we were all under 11. Life was hard and nothing came easily. I was mentally alone a lot, even if there were people around me. And being left with my thoughts, I think, was the most dangerous thing that could have happened at that age. I developed severe anxiety and deep-rooted fear about my parents, adults, and especially men. My mom didn't have a job, and we had a half-dead car for a bunch of broken little kids. We didn't hear from my dad for about a year. And during that time, I think it's when God really surrounded my family with friends, other believers, and especially himself. Then after 12 months, we finally heard from our dad, and he wanted to start seeing us again. So we started seeing him again very slowly at first because we legally weren't allowed to be alone with him. So then my stepmom got introduced. We would have weekly visits, sleepovers, and we would stay weekends at his house. Until about last year, my dad decided he didn't love my stepmom anymore, and he gave up on that too. He decided it wasn't healthy to continue living with her, and that it wasn't worth his time to try and fight through. I think that's really when I realized how, personally, what God meant to me, and how much I really mattered to him, even when I didn't feel like I mattered to anybody. God was a father, in a time where trusting any man or father figure was so impossibly hard. Seeing how God played such a massive role in my childhood is really comforting. And I think once I was able to realize that, I was able to put my faith in his hands because over and over again, he had proved himself trustworthy and honorable. God doesn't trauma dump on me. God doesn't ask me my opinion on a marriage. God lifted me up when I've been down, and that's something my dad has never done. God didn't walk out. He stayed. Even when my dad on earth didn't do anything a dad was supposed to do. God is truly a good father who is really going to stick around. One of my best friends told me that our testimonies really never end, and I 100% agree with her, because we will continue to come across hard and difficult times, but God has equipped us with his tools, like his word, and thoughts to stay strong to faith, even when we walk on the hardest times in our lives, and even when people don't stay.